Okay, so today is now the 27th of January 2018, and this is a 5-minute tarot. And I want to begin with an advert and then talk about the Hierophant and then give you an example. So the ad is, if you're in the mood to buy something, then you can take a look at the-tarot-book.com. It's a membership site. It takes you through ideally everything you ever thought about, from first wondering about reading cards through to doing a reading. And I'm sort of updating it as time goes by. The other thing is there's johns-tarot-course.com, where you get 90 odd videos on each card, as well as some exercises. You get 14 videos on the horoscope spread. You also now get 42 videos on the past, present, and future spread, which I go into in great detail with examples. And you also get 78 audio files, which talk about each card, what it might mean upright and reversed in the answer to 3 types of questions: love and romance, money and work, and improving your life or living more fully, that kind of thing. Excuse me. So if you're in the mood to buy something, take a look at those two, and that'll help to pay some bills, as we all have to do. Okay. The other thing is, I'm going to turn the webcam down to face the table, because I need to, and then the next bit will be there. It may go in and out of focus a little bit, but it shouldn't be too bad. Oh. Okay. So there, let's say, let's say you're learning geography. Not geography, geometry. Okay, and so you've got 2 straight lines and they intersect. You're taught that this angle here, right, and this angle here add up to 180 degrees, and that's maybe like 0.1. So if you know this angle, subtract it from 180 degrees, and then you know this angle. And the second point is that this angle here equals this angle. If they're on the opposite sides of the same cross, so to speak, then the angles are equal. And at the same time, this angle here is equal to this angle here. And you can get it 2 ways. You can either understand that this angle is opposite this one, so they're the same, or you can take this one that you know and subtract from 180 to get this one. You're going to get the same answer. So let's say that's kind of step 1. Then you need to know step 2 is that in a triangle, in any triangle, the 3 angles add up to 180 degrees. But you need somebody to tell you that. And this is where the Hierophant comes in. So a Hierophant is the person who helps people go to take the next step, or go to the next level, whatever that might mean, or gives them the information they need to know about so that they can make progress and move on and move up, let's say. So the Hierophant might be the person who tells you, okay, the 3 angles now in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. You can then do something with that information and apply it. Let's say we've got a line across there. So now we've got a triangle, and we can begin to understand what's going on. So the Hierophant is this person who maybe educates people or gives them some useful information so they can move on or move up or move in a direction in which they want to go. And I'm talking about the Hierophant because when you're doing a reading for somebody, think of yourself as the Hierophant. You've got a questioner, and you've got you, the reader, and you've got a deck of cards. And what you're going to do is, by reading cards and talking about them and maybe telling them stories or giving them specific information, what you're doing is you're helping them be better informed, be more understanding, be better able to make an informed decision, to understand what's going on below the surface, maybe factors that they haven't yet considered, but because of the cards that come up and because of what you say about them or what kind of information you give them, they can make a wiser, better, more informed decision And they can also become aware of factors that are important that they hadn't thought of or they hadn't realized. Or maybe they had thought about them but ignored them, thinking they weren't important. But depending on what comes up in a spread, you can point out, yes, this is actually important, even though you had discounted it. So the reader, in a way, is like the Hierophant. So I did this a week ago. And I'd like to do it again so that if you take 2 or 3 minutes before the reading to explain to the questioner or to describe to the questioner what's happening in a tarot reading or what you're going to do or how you're going to interpret cards, it means that they can then they understand the process or they understand the method that you're using. They can also begin to interpret their own card or the cards that come up in their own way. And I mentioned a couple of days ago that let's say the Two of Swords comes up and maybe it's reversed, Two Swords reversed in the past. I won't take time to find it, but you can say, okay, at some time in the past you were undecided about an important decision. So you don't need to know what that decision was or what it revolved around, but the question is going to think, oh, okay, that was when, or that makes sense because I didn't know whether to quit my job and find a new one, or whether to just to find a new one, or I didn't quite know what the new job should be. So you're saying something about being undecided about an important decision. They know in their own mind, because they lived it, they know what the decision was or what it was about. So you can talk about an important decision. They kind of flesh it out and can give names and places and dates, and they know the ins and outs of the actual decision, what they were thinking, good and bad, was it a good idea, was it a bad idea, how would other people act and react. And you, the reader, don't need to know that, because what you're doing is talking about the cards that come up and helping them to be more informed so they can make a better decision. And so one way to approach this is, okay, you're the Hierophant, the reader's the Hierophant. So what I'm going to do is tell you about the cards that we're going to use. And you take 2 minutes. So let's say we say there are 4 suits, and this is kind of a repeat of what I said a week ago or whenever it was. So we get 4 suits. One of them is Batons, energy and enterprise. So if this Ace of Batons comes up, it's a 1 for a beginning, there's a hand, it's energy, it's a good time to begin things. Or if you've begun something, it's a good indication that things are going to progress and improve. There's energy and enterprise around the situation, and you can do good things with it. So you can talk like that, and maybe the person's thinking, okay, well, I do want to begin this new job, and I'm wondering whether, how it's going to go. Will I like it? So when they see this Ace of Batons, they can appreciate that, okay, it looks like I'm going to enjoy the job. It's going to be a challenge. I'm going to be able to put energy into it and get something out of it as well. And it's a new start, and I really am bored where I am, and I want a new start. So you can talk about the cards. So we've got 4 suits. Cups is home, loved one, family. And here we've got somebody walking away. So if the question is, should I look for a new job? And this comes up, somebody's walking. So yes, you should. You should look elsewhere. Leave behind what you've got and move on to something new. So by pointing out or by picking a card for each suit, there's one for this Swords, which is hardship and difficulties, and there's Pentacles, which is money, as well as values. So by talking about the picture, you're showing the questioner how you're going to derive an answer for them. And because they too can see the picture, maybe they're going to see the same as you, but they can also see something different, or a variation on what you're talking about. Or they can know, okay, this eight of Cups is somebody walking away. I know what that refers to because they lived through it. So it can be a time when they left behind a situation that had, maybe they'd got as much as they could out of it, which is why they left the Cups neatly organized and moved on. So you, the reader, can talk about about the cards. And also, so we're talking about these. So you talk about what they mean. The questioner can see the picture and they can maybe do the same or more with what's going on in the picture. But you, the reader, don't need to know because you're the Hierophant. You're talking about and painting a picture so that they can move into their future with more ammunition, let's say, or with a better understanding of what's possible and what's likely. And then you get the King of Cups. So we've got court cards, kings, queens, knights, and pages, and you explain maybe that kings are older people who are established, pages are younger people who are just beginning or just starting out with something. We've got a knight who represents, knights are messengers and bring change, and then we've got the queens who tend to be older women, right? So you've got, and you could maybe talk about, if one of these catches your eye, or there's something you want to say about it. Maybe you've spoken about what the questions are. So maybe this King of Cups comes up. There was once a long time ago, I did a reading for a fellow who wanted to build a retirement home on land out in the country, and the King of Cups came up. So I mentioned that Cups is, okay, King of Cups, you're going to have a problem with water. And he didn't believe me because he couldn't figure out what it meant. But later, the planning permission was denied because it was going to be a big retirement home, but the amount of water for baths and toilets and so on was going to overload the water in that area out in the country. So he wasn't allowed to mess up the water table. And this was the King of Cups reversed. I didn't say, you're not going to get planning permission, but there was a problem with water. And he, because he was the builder and the designer and the fellow who's going to pay for it all, he could have, if he'd taken it seriously, he could have thought about it and maybe realised a better look at the numbers for water supply and water waste. And then you get you've got 22 major trumps. Excuse me. Major trumps. These are cards with titles like the Sun, the Tower, the Hanged Man, and the Hermit. So we can look at these and we can look at the symbolism. So here we've got a child and a horse moving away. It's a good card, shows success coming about. Maybe because you've got a childlike enthusiasm and children don't see any obstacles. They just keep going. And maybe it's your childlike enthusiasm that's going to get you through. Whereas if we've got the tower, the people being knocked out of the tower, it's a bit like if it's in the future, you're going to be facing a mess. You're going to be facing a pile of rubble. So what you do is either have insurance in place to protect you or reorganize things so that if there is a lightning flash, excuse me, if there is a lightning flash, there's going to be destruction, but it's not going to be as bad. So maybe with the tower, you talk about forewarned is forearmed. So rather than just assume that things are going to go well, look to see where things could go wrong and organize things so that if they do go wrong, it won't be as damaging as it would have been if you hadn't touched it, if you hadn't dealt with it in the first place. So that's you as the Hierophant talking about the pictures and the cards and how you make sense of them, or how you can make, this is one way of looking at a spread, how you can make sense of them to apply what's going on in the picture to answering the question that has been asked. So I did this maybe, 10 days ago, but I'm doing it again, but it's different cards that are coming up and I'm talking about different things. So if you do this more than once and do it as if there was somebody there, but you're doing it on your own, and you're going to find that you'll talk about cards that come up. And maybe you'll notice things, and it's much better than picking a card a day and trying to make sense of it. Because here we've got the Ace of Batons and the Ace of Pentacles, and maybe what you do is you spend 5 minutes thinking, what's the difference between them? This is an ace for a beginning, and this is an ace for a beginning. But here we've got, it looks quite triumphant, the hand holding the baton. Here the hand is out, the palm is out, as if you're receiving. Whereas here, you're going out and making things happen the way you're holding the baton. But with the Ace of Pentacles, you're holding the money, you're holding the value. So this is like active and this is passive. And that can be something that you file away in the back of your mind. And one of these days you'll use it. It'll be an important point to make that, let's say somebody wants to know how things are going to go, and you get the Ace of Pentacles, and you say, okay, it looks good, but you have to pay attention. You have to listen to what people tell you and deal with their objections and let them point out what's not working or what needs to be done. Whereas with the Ace of Batons, you want to know how it's going to go. Just knock people over if they get in your way. You know, you're strong, forceful, determined. It's going to work, but it works because of your own perseverance and determination to make it work, and your enthusiasm for the project. Because this is upright, standing with a fist, and you're holding the baton here, whereas this is more passive, the hand held out. Okay, that was it for today. Thanks for watching, and if you have comments or questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye bye.